In this video, we're reviewing the remote view. What has to be my new favorite remote control for my GoPro camera. And the best part about it is it comes in at a price point very similar to that of the new GoPro remote, and it has an LCD screen. This thing is freaking awesome. What is it? Well, the remote view, this is the R1, is a remote control for your GoPro camera that has a live view LCD on it. Basically, the idea behind the remote view R1 is to take the functionality of the GoPro app and put it onto a little handheld device that is about the same size as the GoPro camera. You can see there from a couple different angles that it comes in. It's slightly taller, but it's about the same width and about the same height. So a very small compact unit. It's got a fairly good battery life of about 3 hours of screen on time, and it's got some really cool functionality. So let's take a look at it. It's got 3 buttons on the side here. One's a menu power button, which corresponds to the function of the mode button on the GoPro, and then it's got a record button, which works like the record button on the GoPro, and then a back button, which is a kind of addition, and then these 3 buttons also get used to navigate the menu on the remote view. So we'll push the power button here to boot it up. You'll notice that I'm using a Hero 3 Plus right now. I'm sure someone's going to ask about that. The reason for that is that currently, with the current firmware that the Remote View R1 has, it only works with the Hero 3 or Hero 3 Plus. Now, I've talked to Remote View, and they have promised that there is a new update coming that'll support the GoPro Hero 4. On the Hero 3, you can see I booted up the Remote View, and it instantly connected to the Wi-Fi network on the camera. In the setup process, if you haven't paired the cameras before, it's a process by which you turn the Wi-Fi network on, turn the camera on, and then the remote view will see the Wi-Fi network of the GoPro. You have to have the GoPro in app mode, not remote mode. So you see it'll come up with the Wi-Fi network's name, and then it's a very slow process of typing in the password using the menu button to go forward through the keyboard, the back button to go backwards, and the shutter button to select the letter you need. Now that we're in here, let's play around with some of the things we can do. So we can hit the record button, and it'll start recording. Just like on the GoPro app, live view is not supported when it's recording. We can stop recording, the camera will stop recording, and the LED on the remote view will blink according to what the camera's doing, and then we can see we're back to live view. So there is a delay. You can see on the screen here, if I put my finger over the LCD screen or over the camera's lens, we can see that there's a slight delay. It's about the same as the app. And then you can use the mode button here to scroll through the different modes. So you can go through single photo mode, burst mode, time-lapse mode. There we go, time-lapse mode. And then you can even get into the settings menu. Now the camera settings menu on here is awesome. So we'll enter the setup menu using the shutter button, and you'll see you get a way more in-depth settings menu. So much more like when you're using the app, you use the mode button to scroll through here, and then on each of these options we can select what we're going to do, and just it's very, very intuitive to navigate the settings menu on here, and then the back button takes you back. The one function that the remote has that's pretty cool and really useful is the fact that when you power down the remote, the GoPro powers down as well. The remote view is a little bit more complicated. You have to hold the back button here, and that'll turn the camera off, and then it'll tell you that the camera's off, and then I think you have to power off the remote view off, and then if you want to boot the remote view back up, you have to first turn on the remote view, and then once it's booted up, then you can boot the camera up. So it's a bit of a 2-stage process. It would be nice if this was one step where you turn the remote view on, and then it automatically turns on the on the camera, or and then you can turn off the remote view and it automatically turn off the camera. As it stands right now, you have to remember to turn the camera off first before you turn the remote view off, and vice versa. Turn the remote view on, wait for it to connect to the network, and then you can turn the camera on. So it's 2 steps. It's not ideal, but it does have all the functionality of the GoPro remote, and for about the same price, a little bit more expensive, but for very close to the same price, you get an LCD screen and a live view, and I love this thing. It's awesome. I can't believe that someone managed to put an LCD screen, live view, 3-hour battery, and all the functionality of the remote into something that's basically the same size as the remote. This was a really interesting comparison I did when I was testing this. If we look at the size of the GoPro remote, it's the same width, it's the same length, the remote view is a bit higher, but really it's the same thickness and everything. So the remote view is not that much smaller than the GoPro remote, and considering the amount, how much more functionality it has and just how much more useful it would actually be than the GoPro remote, I think this thing is amazing. So this is Removu R1. It's available down below. It does have some drawbacks. It's not waterproof. The GoPro remote's waterproof, and it isn't as seamless to use as the remote. The remote's very much, once you pair it once, it's going to work repeatedly. The remote works with more than one camera. The remote view, like the app, only works with the camera it's connected to at the same time. The remote view doesn't power the camera off, like I was talking about before, instantly. You have to, it's a two-step process to turn the camera off and turn the camera back on, and little things like that. But all in all, it's pretty cool. We'll look at to charge it here. We have this latch on the side here, which is a little waterproof O-ring seal, and then a micro USB port in there, as well as a reset button, which is going to make all of your passwords you have saved forget and basically reset the remote view back to its default settings. With the remote view mounted onto the included wrist strap, we can just go ahead here, we can throw it onto our wrist. With the remote view wrist mounted, say you've got a helmet mounted GoPro, it's a great way to make sure that it's always recording and always rolling, and that your framing's pretty correct. So really useful for setting up shots and making sure you're always recording. And then also, because it's got that 3 hour of on time, you can pretty much know that this is going to last longer than your built-in GoPro battery. So in conclusion, the Removu R1 is a very, very cool accessory, and I have enjoyed using it. If you're looking at getting a GoPro remote to control one camera, it's something you should check out. If your reason for getting a GoPro remote is to control more than one camera, you still need that GoPro remote. So this is not a complete replacement for a GoPro remote, but for the majority of people who want a way to control their camera from something that's not the camera, I would highly, highly recommend they look at their remote view as an option instead of the GoPro remote. It's just, it has the same functionality, it has basically the same functionality, give or take some positive and minuses, but I think the LCD screen on here and the live view on here kind of outweigh the disadvantages of that two-step powering off process. I'll let you guys know when this works, when the firmware is out for the Hero 4. I'll update the description of this video, so if you're curious and the video's been out for a little bit, check the description. I will update that when I know more about the firmware. And guys, this was another GoPro tips and tricks video. If you guys have enjoyed it, please make sure you subscribe, check out my channel for lots more videos, and like the video. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I read all of them, and I respond to as many of those as I can. Sadly, nowadays it's not that many, but I do read every single one of them. Until next time, guys, thank you very, very much for watching.